Thank you, Kurt. We start off with news from Venezuela. The opposition leader Juan Guaido has said he would consider an amnesty for President Nicolas Maduro if he cedes power. Mr. Guaido, who declared himself interim president on Wednesday, said he was reaching out to all sectors, including the military, to end the crisis. Mr. Maduro began his second term after polls mirrored by an opposition boycott and vote rigging claims. The global community is split on whether to recognize his government, but so far Mr. Maduro retains the crucial support of Venezuela's military, according to the BBC. The U.S., more than a dozen Latin American countries, Canada, and the U.K. have backed Mr. Guaido, who is leader of Venezuela's elected National Congress, after he said he was the legitimate president. But Russia has condemned foreign support for Mr. Guaido, saying it violates international law and is a direct path to bloodshed. China, Mexico, and Turkey also back Mr. Maduro. Instances of child prostitution and child pornography in Trinidad and Tobago are being significantly underreported, and those in authority are to blame. This is according to childcare professionals who spoke at a Joint Select Committee (JSC) meeting on human rights, equality, and diversity. According to the Express, the JSC was chaired by Community Development Minister Dr. Nyan Gatsby Dolly, who questioned the data received on the number of children, particularly young girls, involved with creation and distribution of explicit and sexual materials. According to the Express, the Ministry of Education reported 69 cases between 2014 and 2018 involving child pornography. Of those cases, 67 involved girls, and of this figure, 72% of the girls had self-inflicted the material. A gay Brazilian politician has said he will not return to the country after receiving death threats. João Welles, one of the country's few openly gay congressmen, told a newspaper he had been powerless as his reputation was destroyed by lies. According to the BBC, he said violence in Brazil had worsened since the election of far-right President Jair Bolsonaro last year. Mr. Bolsonaro has vowed to tackle corruption and crime, but has also made racist and homophobic remarks. However, in his inauguration speech earlier this month, he promised to build a society without discrimination or division. Internationally, political strategist Roger Stone, a longtime ally of President Trump, has been arrested in Florida, charged with 7 counts in a Mueller probe. Mr. Stone appeared in court in the city of Fort Lauderdale. The indictment includes 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, 5 counts of false statements, and 1 count of witness tampering, the BBC reported. The charges are linked to an alleged Russian-led hack into the emails of Democratic Party officials. The information contained in the emails was released by WikiLeaks during the 2016 U.S. presidential election campaign. After news of his old friend's arrest, President Donald Trump slammed the Russia investigation once again on Twitter, calling it the greatest witch hunt in the history of the country. Stone was released on $250,000 bail, with the restrictions allowing him to travel only for court appearances in Florida, Washington, D.C., and New York. Mr. Stone said he would formally plead not guilty to the charges in a Washington, D.C. court next week. He declared himself the target of a politically motivated investigation. Violent protests are continuing in India's northeastern states over a proposed amendment to the country's citizenship law. The protests have been particularly vocal in the state of Assam, which recently saw 4 million residents left off a citizens' register. The bill attempts to grant citizenship to immigrants who are not Muslim, the BBC reported. Students, activists, politicians, and celebrities have all joined the protests against India's ruling party. The Citizenship Amendment Bill seeks to provide citizenship to non-Muslim migrants from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. Supporters of the bill defend it by saying that Muslims have been excluded, as the bill offers Indian nationality only to religious minorities fleeing persecution in neighboring countries. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Kurt.